Welcome back to 13C. Today, our latest 9mm build with quarter circle 10 builder's kit. That's how it's done. Notice she locked back. This is a fantastic, super fun build. Let's take you through it from step to step right now. Welcome back to 13C. Today, we're going to take you through from start to finish on building your own 9mm AR. Now, we're going to save the build portion for the end of this video, and we're going to kind of start at the end and kind of work in chronological order backwards. That way, so if you don't really need to know or see how to build one of these, you don't have to wind up for that, and then we'll wrap up at the very end, and we'll put some kind of indicator down below so you can skip ahead past the build portion when that comes up if you're so inclined. Anyway, quarter circle 10 builder's kit is where we started on this for our project. Now it comes with, that kit comes with your main components. Actually saved the package for it. We'll put a picture up of it with the stuff in here. Basically, this, if it wasn't for our ridiculous laws, you should just be able to go into the store, pick this right up off the shelf and walk out with it. Since it does include your lower, then it is an FFL item, so that entire package will ship to your FFL if you're ordering it online, because obviously the lower is an FFL item. So anyway, it comes with your stripped lower, which is 7075 billet aluminum. Stripped is a little bit of a misnomer for this because it does come with some parts already installed. Your mag release, it comes with installed, as well as your bolt hold, bolt catch here. The rest of the parts, you're going to need a lower parts kit to finish this off, as well as a trigger. I used a base lower parts kit, and then I used a ALG Defense ACT trigger, the Advanced Combat Trigger. Now, if you watch the video that came out just before this, we talked a lot about that trigger. If you want to learn more about the trigger, I would suggest going and checking that video out. I talk about the trigger more in depth. For my purposes here, well, first we're doing a giveaway of an ALG Defense ACT trigger via our newsletter. If you're not signed up for our newsletter, take a moment to do that, and then boom, you're entered. About a month after this video comes out, if I'm running my timetables right, will be Independence Weekend. That's when we're giving away this trigger. So we're going to do that. I think that's Sunday, 6th or 7th, something like that. So we'll do it that night, IG Live. You don't have to be on there to win it. We're going to do it live, and if you're watching, cool, you'll see. And if you're not, then just watch your email, and you'll get an email if you win. Back onto this. One of the reasons why I selected the ACT trigger is because it plays nicely with 9mm bolts. Now, not all triggers are made equally. Some are mil-spec, some are mil-spec standard, some will fit, but they have different width profiles on the hammers. So it's important to get a proper width, whatever trigger you're going to select, the proper width there for your 9mm build, so you're not putting any extra, when your bolt is cycling, you're not slowing it down or hampering it any and messing with the timing inside here. The rest of this, so comes with a side charging upper in there as well. One of the things that I want to point out about side charging upper, one of the cool things is the actual side charger here itself. So if you notice, I'm pulling on this, it's not moving. It's because it's not just a detent in there that's holding it, but there's this latch. You have to pull back on that to release it to get that detent out. It's not spring loaded. It is this. Your latch here is what has the spring in it, not the actual detent. So no matter how much you move on this, shoot it, whatever, it's not going to budge while your bolt is cycling, which is very important. If you use other side charging uppers, you know if they just have a regular detent in there from time to time while it's recoiling, that damn thing will come back and slide, and it'll smack you in the cheek. It's a pain in the, I can't stand it. You're not going to have that with this one. Also, we have our bolt locked back. That's why it's just kind of coming down. Also, it stops right there. So even if you have this thing up to your cheek and you run it back, check it out, it's not coming back past the receiver, and that means you're not going to stab yourself in the eye or the cheek with this thing if you're cycling it versus using your bolt catch there. that's really nice, and I love the fact they've taken that attention to detail, because I can't tell you, well, I can tell you because you've seen videos when I've when I've used a different side charging upper, when I've been doing some of those some different mag testing, and you know, after I get done with it, I come down, you see a red mark right there. It's because I smacked myself in the face with it. Operator error, sure, but you shouldn't have one that's coming past here. I'm getting sidetracked. It's just something that peeves me, is that, you know, people who are doing their R&D and putting these things together don't realize that those types of things can be a problem. Anyway, sidetrack over. You get in the kit, you get to select when you're getting the kit what kind of lower you want. This one takes Glock mags. You can also get one with like SIG P226 mags, Colt pattern mags, or MP5 mags. You select your barrel length. So I went with a 7.5 inch barrel. If you look on the end here, we actually have a 3-lug mount on here because we're running this guy suppressed quite a bit. The barrel actually stops right there, so it mates up perfectly with this rail. We'll get into the rail in just a second. It does not come with a rail in the kit. And then it comes with your bolt in here, your QC10 9mm bolt in there. You can also get these in 40 and 45 if you were inclined to those calibers. I'm not a big 40 fan myself. I like 9mm. 45 is cool, but honestly, I shoot a lot, and I love to shoot these guys suppressed especially. Get the family out shooting them, they'll shoot all day, and it's way cheaper to shoot 9mm than 45. Just my personal preference. Roll with what you like though. And the last component it comes with, and you can't see it in here, but you'll see it later on in the build portion, is the variable weight buffer that's in here. So you can lighten and you change the weight of the buffer substantially, either up or down, versus the different weights in here, stainless steel, aluminum, and tungsten weights that come in here, and spacers and whatnot in there. Pretty cool with that. If you're doing your build up right from the beginning, you may not even have to mess with that if all your components are what they should be. Look at that. So anyway, so that's what comes in the kit. Now, for rail, the rail I selected for this originally was going to be a Geisley DDC color rail, their MK8. I got it in. I actually got that in before I got this kit, because obviously I had to go pick up the kit from the FFL, and I got it. I went to go to put it together initially. I'm like, so it's a billet lower, and it's a side charging upper. It's got the anti-rotation tabs on the bottom of it, that Geisley one. It's not going to work with this if you have lower anti-rotation tabs. It's just not going to work. So I could have cut them off, but there's no way I was going to do that to that rail. So I'm going to use that one for another one. I hopped online and I started looking at some various rails that I was going to order, and I wound up going back to QC10's website, and I looked on there and I found this rail, which is cut to the exact right length for this 7.5 inch barrel, and they have them cut to the exact right length for, I think, each one of their different barrel lengths. Which is great. This is actually an SLR rail that's custom made to be an OEM item for QC10. It's marked with the QC10 lower on there, or logo I should say, on there. So I placed the order. I ordered one from them, they sent it out, and it lines up perfectly. The barrel itself stops right there, so you can put whatever kind of silencer you want on there. It mates up perfectly. There's not really this huge honking gap or anything. Looks fantastic. We'll roll in footage of me shooting it later, but yeah, it lines up very well with that. I mentioned the ACT trigger in there from ALG Defense. Check out that other video if you want to learn more about that. We've got a from Radian, we've got the Talon ambidextrous safety on here, which is actually, I'm really digging that safety. This is the first one of the Talons that I've had. It's got your normal length for your dominant thumb on one side and the shorter one on the other, so it's not digging into your finger as much, but it's still usable. What else do we have on here? And then obviously the big one on the back here, the from SB Tactical, the SB-PDW brace. Now this is a really cool brace. It's adjustable in length, 3 lengths of pull, or not lengths of pull, probably would be the wrong way to put it, but 3 different positions, and will really allow you to brace it up against your forearm, depending on how long your forearms are, very, very well. This thing, especially, you know, if you need to put it up your cheek, something like that, any incidental contact happens, man, that is a sweet set. I really love this brace. We'll probably wind up doing our own standalone video on the brace coming up at some point in the future. So stick around for that. And then we have a hex mag grip on the bottom of this. Inside you can't see it, but I picked up a red Springco buffer spring for a buffer in there. That's a pretty good weight if you're doing a 9mm build like this. They're reasonably priced. I would suggest picking one up probably at the same time you're picking up this builder's kit if you decide to go with one of these builder's kits. We'll have some links down below. I think we're gonna have a discount code or something. I was talking to Quarter Circle 10. I ran into them at the NRA there when I was there recently, and they said they'd hook you guys up with a coupon code or something like that. I don't want to get ahead of myself. Maybe I'll have to edit this out if they don't. I don't know. We'll see. It should be good though. Check down below. Anyway, yeah, that pretty much wraps this portion of it up. So we're gonna get into the build and why I selected some of these different parts on here. One of the reasons why I selected that red Springco buffer spring is because it plays very well with these 9mm builds. I said that one of the reasons why I selected the trigger was because the profile is going to line up. It's not going to create any undue surface area on that 9mm bolt that's going to cause any tension with it cycling in either direction. If you're building one of these out of the box, pay attention to your parts. You can use whatever kind of lower parts kit in here that you want, but pick a good trigger, something that's gonna run well and play well with 9mm. Don't just pick your favorite trigger because that's what you always put in your 5.56 or 300 blackout or 6.5 Grendel ARs, whatever the case may be. Pick something that's gonna run good with a 9mm. And that is key. Otherwise, the rest of your components in here, the upper and lower are matched. The bolt, the 9mm bolt, is meant to go with this setup, and then the barrel is meant for that. So that, for example, and I have a magazine here, you can take a look down in there where the barrel is. Hopefully it'll line up. I'll get a better picture or something. See, it lines up and positions with this factory Glock mag perfectly for going right into your barrel. So these things are important, and I don't want to stress that enough because I have a lot of people. We've done some other 9mm pistol videos, AR pistol videos before, and I have people contact me all the time saying, man, I'm having this problem, having that problem. This should be a fun package and build for you, and it should be reliable enough that if you wanted to use something like this for home defense, it makes a great home defense option if you want to stick in that pistol caliber sphere and you don't want to step up into a rifle round, or you don't want to move to shotgun, whatever. We won't get into the things of that. There are a lot of people who choose a 9mm pistol type firearm this size for home defense, and it's not a bad option or choice to do so, especially if you run suppressed. You're not blowing out anybody's eardrums. If you don't want that on the other side, if you want that sound to wake up your neighbors so they call the cops for you so you don't have to, we're not going to get into that debate now. Personally, I live in the middle of nowhere. If there's gunfire in my house, nobody's going to hear it anyway. None of my neighbors are going to hear it anyway, so why don't I protect my hearing? That's where I come down on it. Anyway, long story short, that's where we are. Now we're going to get into the build portion of this. If you're watching on YouTube, you're going to need to go over to either Full 30 or Gunstreamer to watch the build portion of that. If you're watching obviously on either of those two, we're going to fall right into it. We're going to take a break, and whenever you're ready. Welcome back from the build portion. If you're on YouTube, there was 2 seconds went by. If you're on Full 30 or Gunstreamer, hopefully that was informative to you and you enjoyed it. If you haven't subscribed already, definitely please do that. It's a great way to show your support for the channel. If you haven't signed up for that newsletter, please do so. It'll get you entered to win that ALG Defense ACT trigger, and we do regular giveaways on our newsletter anyway. So if you're watching this after Independence Weekend, don't worry about it. We do other giveaways as well throughout the year. So, and again, we promise not to spam you out. Maximum 1 email a week, normally about 1 every 10 days. We've got videos out already on this Holosun optic you see on here, the optic that was on it before. The Bushnell Advanced, that video was out probably roughly a month ago. If you're interested in those, we're going to do a standalone video here on this SB Tactical and several of the SB Tactical braces, because we've got several different ones on a couple different firearms at this point. So we're going to do a video on SB braces coming up as well, and then there'll be that video that was just before this on the trigger itself. Thanks again, everybody. Really appreciate it. Facebook.com/gun reviews. Instagram, we're at 13C Gun Reviews. And if you'd like to support us on Patreon, we did launch Patreon video 1 or 2 before this. We'll tell you about one of the reasons why we decided to launch a Patreon. There have been people asking for it, and now is just the right time to go ahead and do that. Again, thank you so much for your support. We really appreciate it. And if you don't want to support us in that way, please remember that liking, commenting, sharing is the best way to help support us. It gets content out there, gets it seen, and helps to fight those algorithms and bump up, be it search results here on YouTube or Facebook, Instagram helps to beat some of those suppression and ghosting there as well. Thanks again, everybody. Take care, stay safe, and we'll talk soon. All right, so I know the majority of people with 9mm pistol AR really aren't concerned with accuracy, but from what I'm seeing out of this barrel, I'm liking what I'm seeing, so I figured, why not? Let's go ahead and put it on paper. I know it looks a little ridiculous, but we're gonna run with what we've got, because I'm honestly curious here. I had this on a QD mount, and I felt like bringing it out and just seeing what we could do here. Real quick, I mean, this isn't like serious work, but we are kind of having fun with this. So let's see what we can do. And we're at 50 yards. 52, I think, but close enough. All right, let's go ahead and show you. So this was something that I thought would be fun and interesting to try out. So I went down to 50 yards, and before I put that scope on there, I fired 3 rounds with that Holosun 507C. There were our 3 rounds right there, and it's consistent with kind of what I've been seeing. I mean, this is the first time I've actually tried to get down and shoot groups versus just shooting either from standing or kneeling position. But then I figured, well, I've got a box in the back of the UTV with some various stuff in it, target pasties and spray paint, whatever, extra targets, staple gun. I also still had that Right-On the QD on there, so I figured, what the hell, I'll put it on there. So I spun the 507C off, put it on there, fired 2 rounds. They both went there. Spun the turret down what I thought was the appropriate amount, turned the camera on, and threw the bag up there, and boom, here was our next 5 rounds. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. This is 115 grain 9mm Winchester white box. Those little 100-round packs you can buy at Wally World, dirt cheap. That's what this is. So definitely not match ammo. Definitely not like my hand loads. Some of the ones that I'll take time with when I'm trying to do some different stuff with handguns. But I'm more than happy with this. For my purposes, I like to get out. I like to shoot 10 to 100 yards, red dot, on 2/3 steel. And normally we're using the shootsteel.com targets. This is actually a shootsteel.com target stand we're using right here with the Optics Planet target on it. Yeah, I'm happy with that. And if you're going out and looking to shoot groups with something like that, like this, while I would say you probably want to select something else if you're going to be shooting groups and that's your goal, you're more than capable of doing it if you're so inclined. So there you go. Hopefully this is, like I said, some of this is just anecdotal stuff that I continue to include in some of these videos because it's something that I'm curious about, not necessarily that, well, maybe anybody else is, but anyway, here it is. So, and I'll bring you along with me. So this is it. Thanks, everybody. We'll talk soon.